Hello, y'all. Oh my god. I was gonna reference something on my phone, but it's gone now. Did I screenshot it? I think I did. Haha! I did. Right? This is like a little reminder, right? I'm all comfy. This is a little reminder. Just something that if words weren't put to it, I wouldn't have like necessarily felt the need to say it. So I feel like this is something that I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like I already was doing it. And so it sounds like more people need to hear it. And this post is not getting enough views as it should because everybody should know this. Everybody should know this. But right? So if this is the first time you're watching if this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, or maybe you've watched all of them, right? Thank you for that. I love your support. Thank you. But yeah, so right, you want to put the universe, right, and social media in the same category, right? And when I say this, I mean thinking of the algorithm, right? If you hear messages like this all the time, you're going to keep getting fed messages like this, right? There was like at the beginning of my spiritual awakening, there was like this cleansing I was doing of like what I was intaking, because I realized that I didn't like a lot of the things I was intaking, so I started unfollowing a lot of things, right? I think like World Star was one of them, and like, you know, like all those types of things. What was that? Yeah, like that kind of energy, right? And so it was just like, okay, I'm gonna choose, which I followed way too many people, so I then gave up and was like, you know what, that's good enough. And I cleared out enough, and I've had different periods of that, but like Instagram makes it harder for you to be able to like unfollow, because it was like you have to go and then click the button, where I just want to be like, you know, when you like delete files, I want to have like a select all and then like unselect the people that I don't want to delete. Like I want that, but you know, it's cool. And so I'm gonna read the quote, right? I'm gonna read the quote, which I don't know who this is. I've seen other quotes by them. So is it still recording? My Google is just mad big. Oh, okay. Hi, we're still there. But so the quote is apparently from, ooh, oh, 1 second. Wikipedia, net worth. Okay, anyways, okay. Master Sri Akarshana, right? This is funny. It says the yogi with a Lamborghini, right? An international celebrity in the world of the law of attraction and spirituality. So 333. I didn't know, like, I've seen this person before, but I didn't know like their thing. Apparently I'm not subscribed, but it's posted by them, right? But so it says, just as social media algorithm shows you more of what you engage with, the universe works the same way, right? That's why I said put them in the same category, because like whatever you're feeding your mind is going to keep going, and keep expanding, right? My dad writes these little post-it notes. Look at that. That's my daddy. My dad writes these little post-it notes everywhere, and it's like, what you focus on expands, and that's like at least 4 times in his house. It depends on where you're looking, you know, but it's just like a reminder, and I think that's really important. But yeah, so literally, I didn't even read I just read the first sentence. I was like, I want to talk about this. The second sentence, what you think, feel, and focus on most is what expands in your reality. Align your thoughts with abundance, love, possibilities, because the universe is always responding to your vibration, all right? And so, okay, I wanted to get into 4 for 4. I wanted to get into this, right? I'm not going to talk for too long, but can y'all hear the wind? There's a wind advisory right now, but yeah, the winds of change. I don't know. Well, yeah, I said that for a reason. I also just thought it sounded funny. But yeah, so, right? Give me 1 second. God damn. Okay. But yes, so thinking about these energetic changes that we're going through, right now, if you're watching this is like right before Aries season, so really truly right before 2025, and like the energy of that, because we still in these last few months of winter we're purging before the spring, right? If we're gonna try and get back to our like circadian rhythms, spring is the new year. So, right, if you subscribe to that or not, that's fine. Those are my beliefs, when they're rooted in indigenous practices. But so, what was I gonna say? Oh, the important part, right? The important part is that we have this, like, okay, what was it? November 19th of 2024, right? Pluto went direct and it went into Aquarius, right? And now, don't get me too much on the dates, because I know it went direct on that day. I'm not sure if it went direct and that's when it hit Aquarius, or that's when it started going direct. But I know that was a big transit, right? That day specifically, because I also was taking a class that ended at that exact, and I was like, this was on purpose, wasn't it? The teacher did not confirm nor deny, but I was like, I think so, right? And so the whole thing, what I was talking about with the, like, okay, Capricorn and Pluto, right? Like, looking at systems, right? And it's very like structured. Like, Capricorn is very much like on the money, like very much, I feel like structured is the best word I can't say. Like, it's very much like capitalistic, very like concrete foundation, right? Like, it's not going to really sway or move or any type of way. You know how like wind hits a tree and the tree's like woo, and like wind hits a building and it's like like making that noise. So, right, like that kind of thing. And like Pluto has transits for like 20-ish years, right? So like the expansion that's coming with it moving into Aquarius, because Aquarius is kind of like, it will take everything and turn it on its head. It's like, what about this? You know? And that could be like a little like chaotic good energy, you know, the lawful good chaotic. I've been wanting to like, I feel like I'm chaotic good, but I've been wanting to like just start rating random things on that scale, just like for funsies. But thinking about like Aquarius in this way, right, specifically in Pluto, right, and the transformation that's coming, right, and came, right? But the quote says, align your thoughts with abundance, love, and possibilities, because your universe is always responding to your vibration, right? And so if you're like, oh, this is gonna happen, right? Or if you're like, I know I'm gonna get to this point, I don't know how, when, why, or what, but I know I'm going to get there, right? And having that like belief and that faith, right? Or if you don't even know what it is, but just that idea of like looking at the systems around me, this don't work, how do I make it better? And do that. I think that's like the most beautiful thing, because you'll keep getting shown, right? You'll keep getting shown what can happen, and that's so beautiful, because it kind of blows your mind a little bit every time it happens, and then you get a bigger threshold for what you feel like you can ask for, and the universe is always going to tell you to ask bigger. And just, I want you to know that your dreams can come true, especially if they are rooted in love. Your dreams can come true. This is such a beautiful time for transformation, and I don't know if I've spoken about it on here. I feel like I do sometimes, somewhere, but like I know a lot of people in like the social justice space and just like different like activists and advocates, just in general for like, what was that? What was the acronym? I thought it was weird because it's like in German it's not pronounced like that, but what is it? DEI, right? Because I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Anyways, but so like diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? And thinking about equity as well. Equity is like everything meets you where you're at, and like universe is never gonna ask you to do too much. You know, like the universe is just gonna be like, oh, that's where you are. Okay, I got you. You know, so I mean the shadow work might be much, but you know, it's more about like taking yourself outside of the box of like limiting beliefs, right? Yeah, I have a standard for myself that I don't want to. I am limitless, right? So I don't want to be in a limit. When I find myself hitting a wall, I'm like, but now it's time to do some construction. But demolition day is the most fun. Then you gotta rebuild all of it. But demolition day is the most fun, y'all. But yeah. So what was I saying before that? Basically, the idea is that what you put your energy on and what you put your attention to, 11 will keep growing. So like I know a lot of people who are in the social justice space, right? And I think like there's this beautiful thing of like when you see a problem and you're like, grr, like rah, this is making me angry. And I think that's great, and that's a great energy. But what I feel like this what this message is about and what I was trying to speak on is like we are moving into this energy of change, right? And reimagining the systems and the structures that are around us, right? Social and like physical structures. So like looking at that and like how they interact with each other, right? So if you're gonna be in that angry, right? I'm gonna ask you to raise your vibration, babe. We gon' need to make angry now. How do I fix this, right? And like, yes, speaking up, there's a lot of people who are doing all of those things, right? But I feel like sometimes we get stuck in that idea of like, because this happened to me and because this happened to my people and because like all of this, and holding on to that. And like, if you think about I've spoken about this as well on a previous message, but like if you think about how the energy is like, you have all of this like generational trauma. Why did it come out like that? Anyways, but yeah, you have like this generational trauma that is in your body, right? And so when you work through it and you alchemize it, right, like that is healing your lineage as well. And so while it's important in understanding, like, yeah, get angry about all that, because nobody should be treated in any sort of type of way, especially an oppressive way that is like unhealthy for them, right? Intentionally or unintentionally, that's still not great, right? So it's important to get angry, because anger means that you're like, it's a catalyst for change. But I want people to remember that when you stay in angry, then you're angry because you're looking at problems. So you want to know what expands because you're focusing on it? Problems. And I know some people who are very, very beautiful, like, thinkers, right? And they use strategies to be able to understand, like, problem, prototype, solution, right? And I was watching, oh my god, what's her name? This lady Simone, she does like she does like building stuff, and I really like it. She's quirky and it's fun. But so I don't remember her last name. I think she's like Swedish or something. But yeah, so I was watching her and she was talking about like, it's just a prototype, it's just a prototype, it's just a prototype, and how that took the pressure off for her, right? And it's like, if you just think of it that way, right? Like, okay, right? I'm gonna use a small example, right? World hunger, big problem, scary problem. A lot to think about. Malnutrition is a problem, right? And so then there are people who like, people make fortified, what is it, baby formula, so it has more nutrients in it, so that way those who need it can like get that, right? Especially like if you're malnourished, you can't really produce good milk for your baby, right? And also there's a lot of other reasons why people would prefer formula, but that's not the point. So, right? So thinking about it like that, like that's one solution, right? And thinking about like the puzzle piece of like how beautiful humanity is, like there's so many of us, and like I'm here to do this, so you're there to do that, and you're there to do that, and you're there to do like, and so somebody came up with that idea, right? And then there are some people who come up with other ideas of like, oh, like that's why we have soup kitchens and things like that, right? Like that was a whole other idea. And then, right, some of the people, I really believe that like the people in your community that are like actively doing change, like those are the real celebrities to me. I'm like, oh my god, I know celebrities, because of the work they do and how heartfelt they are, a lot of people in the community know them, right? But then also on top of that, it's like, I like it when people put their money where their mouth is, or like just take the steps, right? Like walk it like they talk it, kind of thing, right? And so I know these people who do social interventions, right? It's called the Design Studio for Social Interventions, or DS4SI, and they did this thing called Public Kitchen, right? And it was the like tagline for it was like, what if kitchens are like libraries? And what it did was, like in very small iterations, it inspired people, and then at a longer iteration of like 3 months, it was really able to build this community around it of people who knew, like with the regularity of it, like, oh, I can come here. And the idea was like, it's free, right? Support in some sort of way, right? These little kids would come with their mom after school, and they would be cutting like up vegetables and stuff, and like we would just make a bunch of food. We did like cook-offs and stuff, kind of like in the, on like Food Network, and all those things. It was just so beautiful to see everybody come together and be like, just so sharing, and like people who actually like are in like the health industry, and specifically like nutrition and like cook, like there were people who were running the space, and then there are people who are like just supporting the space, and that has planted the seed. And there's a lot of other people who are now looking into different ways to create more of that, right? And so like that little thing, right? Like that little thing of like, oh, we're gonna do this thing one time, and then they were so excited about it and so inspired by it that it then kept getting bigger and bigger. They did it for 3 months, gathered a community around it, right? Intentionally by who they chose to be there, and unintentionally by just like the regularity of it. It was like how people decided to interact with the space if they know what's gonna be there, right? And I was one of those regulars, right? And so it's like, oh, I need food. Also, I can spend time with people that I love, and also like kind of get over my fear of cooking with people, because I cook by myself all the time. I kind of just like steamroll ahead. And so it's interesting also to like the communication skills that are needed to be able to cook with somebody else, and how that opens up who you are as a person, right? And like also like how fruitful it is to make those connections with people when you're learning alongside them, right? Or you're like, what should we do with this? And you're like, I don't know, maybe this, right? And like they're like, that sounds good, right? And so like that kind of like the reinforcement of like just learning alongside people in a way that isn't as structured as like sit down school, like it really is a beautiful experience. And so it's kind of taking that idea of like, because it's not a soup kitchen, right? It was like, come get your hands dirty. If you want to wash the dishes and then eat a plate, that's cool, right? Or you could help us cook, right? Like, but it was more about like the participation of it, right? And I think that that's important. It's just important for people to be able to feel comfortable and understand what's happening, and see like kind of like their walls come down a little bit, as mine did, right? But it's just really lovely to see people who are actually making little changes like that. And then like when you plant that seed, right, the tree grows, and then the tree is over here like boop, and it has all the seeds, and then those get blown away in the wind, and when they have perfect conditions and they can bloom, right? And like the idea of it's a prototype, right? Like every time you're reprogramming yourself, you're like, it's a prototype, I'm just working on it for right now, right? But I can always change things later, right? I'm creating the design, maybe I gotta redesign it later, but like just kind of taking that pressure off of yourself. But understanding, right? Understanding that like when we focus on solutions, we come up with more creative ideas compared to when we focus on problems. And I'm just very excited for all the people who are like creating change, because I know that if you're watching this video, then you just needed a confirmation that you're on the right path of creating this change, right? In whatever way that is. And maybe me ranting about like people that I know that are doing that in like one genre of like what we need to help is helpful, right? But maybe you aren't even thinking about like food, what is it called? Food justice, right? Maybe you're not even thinking about that. Maybe you're thinking about like home equity, or like, I don't know, my brain can't think of multiple examples right now, because I feel like it's just like we need to tear it up and replant all of it, right? And I'm so excited to be here alongside with y'all when it happens. Yeah, you know, now I know you because you're watching this video, so now I know even more celebrities. Haha. Thank you. I think that was it. I feel really giddy when I do this, and I like that. But I hope you know how amazing and powerful you are, and how amazing your brain is. You're out here creating so much, and just because it's little right now don't mean that it's gonna be little forever. Ignore that part. Ignore the laugh. But right. Gotta get my mind out of the gutter. But yeah, so right, just remember, right, what is it, oh my god, childhood memory of what was it, it was like the Santa movie, and he's like teaching the abominable snowman how to walk or something, or no, the snowman, he's like, put one foot in front of the other, do, 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 do. And then he's like ends up walking, right? The whole thing was like you take one step and then you're gonna follow that with another step, and now you're walking. Now I want to watch those movies. Wow, that unlocks something. But yes, okay. I love you. I'm gonna go get ready for the day. I woke up like this. But yeah, so I hope that you understand that you are loved and everything is working out in your favor. Bye-bye.